What if I told you that the difference between the life you're living right now and the life you've always dreamed of isn't as big as you think? What if the gap between where you are and where you want to be could be closed with something so simple, so small, that most people completely overlook it? Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine two people. Same age, same background, same opportunities. One of them becomes wildly successful. The other struggles their entire life. What's the difference? Most people would say talent, luck, connections, maybe even timing. But what if I told you it's none of those things? What if the real difference is something far more subtle, something happening every single day that neither of them even notices? Here's a thought experiment. Let's say I walk up to you right now and offer you a choice. Option 1, I hand you 3 million rupees, cash, right now. Option 2, I give you a single penny, but that penny doubles every day for the next 31 days. Be honest with yourself. Which one would you take? If you're like most people, you'd grab the 3 million without hesitation. I mean, who wouldn't, right? 3 million rupees is life-changing money. But here's where it gets interesting. That single penny, doubling every day for just 1 month, would turn into over 10 million rupees by day 31. More than 3 times what you'd get by choosing the instant payout. Crazy, isn't it? But here's the thing. This isn't just some mathematical trick. This is how life actually works. This is the invisible force that separates those who achieve extraordinary things from those who stay stuck in the same place year after year. And the best part? Anyone can use it. Including you. Think about your own life for a second. How many times have you started something with incredible energy and enthusiasm? Maybe you wanted to get in shape, so you joined a gym. Maybe you wanted to learn something new, so you bought a course. Maybe you wanted to save money, so you opened a savings account. And what happened? A few weeks in, maybe a month, you stopped. Why? Because you didn't see results fast enough. You worked hard, you put in the effort, but nothing seemed to change. So you quit. Does that sound familiar? If it does, you're not alone. We live in a world that's obsessed with instant results. We want quick fixes, overnight transformations, magic pills that solve all our problems. But what if I told you that's exactly why most people never achieve what they're truly capable of? What if the secret to everything you've ever wanted has nothing to do with speed and everything to do with something else entirely? Let me ask you something. When you brush your teeth in the morning, do you think about how that one brushing session is going to protect your teeth for the rest of your life? Of course not. But what if you stopped brushing for a month? Would you notice a difference? Probably not immediately. What about 6 months? A year? 5 years? Eventually, the consequences would be catastrophic, wouldn't they? And yet, one single day of not brushing your teeth doesn't seem to matter at all. That's the principle I'm talking about. The small things you do every single day, the tiny choices you make when nobody's watching, the habits you build or break in private, those are the things that determine everything. Not the big dramatic moments. Not the New Year's resolutions. Not the motivational speeches that pump you up for a few hours. It's the quiet, unremarkable, boring stuff you do consistently that creates your entire future. So here's a question worth sitting with. What's one small thing you're doing right now, today, that's either building you up or tearing you down? And more importantly, do you even know what it is? The scary truth is this. Every single day, you're moving in one direction or another. There's no such thing as standing still. You're either compounding positive actions that move you closer to the life you want, or you're compounding negative ones that pull you further away. And here's the scariest part. You won't notice either one happening until it's almost too late. Think about someone who eats junk food every day. One burger doesn't make you unhealthy. One bag of chips doesn't ruin your body. But do it every day for 6 months, a year, 5 years, and suddenly you're dealing with serious health problems. On the flip side, think about someone who reads just 10 pages a day. 10 pages doesn't sound like much, does it? But after a year, that's 12 full books. After 5 years, that's 60 books. And imagine how much that person's knowledge, thinking, and opportunities would expand just from that one tiny habit. So let me ask again. What are you compounding right now? Because whether you realize it or not, you are compounding something. The question is, what? Now, let's talk about something that makes most people uncomfortable. You are exactly where your choices have brought you. Not your circumstances. Not your boss. Not the economy. Not bad luck. Your choices. Every single result in your life right now, the good, the bad, the frustrating, all of it is the sum total of thousands of small decisions you've made over the years. I know that's hard to hear. It was hard for me to accept too. Because it's so much easier to blame things outside our control, isn't it? But here's the beautiful part. If you can accept that your choices created your current reality, then you can also accept that your choices can create a completely different future. That means you have all the power. You always have. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're not happy with your current physical health. Why is that? Is it because of one bad meal? Of course not. It's because of hundreds, maybe thousands, of small choices repeated over months and years. The late-night snacks. The skipped workouts. The just this once that became just this always. Every single one of those choices seemed harmless in the moment. But they compounded. And now here you are. But guess what? The exact same principle works in reverse. You don't need to transform your entire life tomorrow. You don't need some massive overhaul. You just need to make one slightly better choice today. And then another one tomorrow. And another the day after that. That's it. Just 1% better. And over time, those tiny improvements will compound into something you can't even imagine right now. Here's something most people never do. They never actually track their choices. They go through life on autopilot, making the same decisions over and over without even realizing it. So let me challenge you. For just one day, write down every choice you make. What you eat. How you spend your free time. What you watch, read, listen to. I guarantee you'll be shocked at how many unconscious choices you're making that don't align with the life you say you want. And here's another exercise. Track your spending for 1 week. Write down every single rupee that leaves your account. At the end of the week, look at where it all went. You'll probably find a lot of it went to things you don't even remember buying. Little expenses that seemed harmless but added up to something significant. Now imagine redirecting even half of that towards something meaningful. A course. Books. Investments. That's the power of awareness. You can't change what you don't measure. But tracking isn't just about money or food. It's about becoming aware of the patterns that run your life. How much time do you spend complaining versus problem solving? How often do you say yes when you really mean no? How many hours disappear into distractions that add zero value to your life? When you start paying attention, really paying attention, you begin to see the truth. And sometimes that truth is uncomfortable. But it's also liberating. Because once you see it, you can change it. Think about your relationships for a moment. Are they adding to your life or draining from it? I'm not talking about being selfish or cutting people off at the first sign of difficulty. I'm talking about honest assessment. Do the people closest to you inspire you to grow, or do they keep you comfortable in your mediocrity? Do they celebrate your wins, or do they subtly discourage you from reaching higher? These questions matter because you will become like the people you spend the most time with. That's not opinion. That's fact. Have you ever stopped to think about how much of your life runs on autopilot? You wake up, check your phone, eat the same breakfast, take the same route to work, watch the same shows at night. Most of it isn't conscious. It's automatic. And that's exactly why habits are so powerful and so dangerous at the same time. Your habits are either building the life you want or destroying it. There's no in-between. And here's what makes it tricky. Bad habits are incredibly easy to form and incredibly hard to break. Good habits are incredibly hard to form and incredibly easy to break. Why? Because bad habits give you instant gratification. They feel good right now. Good habits require you to delay gratification, to trust a process you can't see, to believe in a future version of yourself that doesn't exist yet. Think about scrolling on social media. How long does it take to get hooked on that? A few days? Maybe a week? But how long does it take to build a consistent reading habit? Months? Maybe years. And yet, which one is actually serving you? So how do you break a bad habit? It starts with understanding what triggers it. Every habit has a trigger, something that sets it off. Maybe you reach for junk food when you're stressed. Maybe you waste time on your phone when you're bored. The habit itself isn't the real problem. The trigger is. Once you identify what activates the habit, you can replace the behavior with something better. Let's say stress makes you eat junk food. The next time you feel stressed, instead of reaching for chips, go for a walk. Do some push-ups. Call a friend. The key isn't to just eliminate the bad habit. It's to replace it with a good one. Because if you leave a void, your brain will fill it with the old behavior every single time. And when you're building a new habit, start ridiculously small. If you want to start exercising, don't commit to an hour at the gym every day. Commit to 5 minutes. Just 5. Why? Because the goal isn't the workout itself. The goal is to show up consistently. Once showing up becomes automatic, you can increase the intensity. But if you start too big, you'll burn out and quit. I've seen it happen 1,000 times. Here's something else that most people get wrong about habits. They think willpower is the answer. They believe that if they just had more discipline, more motivation, more mental strength, they could stick to anything. But that's not how it works. Willpower is a limited resource. It runs out. What you need instead is a system. You need to make the right choice the easy choice. You need to design your environment so that good habits happen naturally and bad habits require effort. Want to eat healthier? Don't rely on willpower to resist junk food when you're hungry. Just don't buy it in the first place. Want to read more? Put a book on your pillow so you see it before bed. Want to exercise in the morning? Lay out your workout clothes the night before. These tiny changes remove friction from good habits and add friction to bad ones. And over time, that makes all the difference. Now let's talk about something that might be even more important than what you do. Let's talk about momentum. Because this is where things get really exciting. When you first start making better choices, when you first start building better habits, progress feels painfully slow. You're working hard, but nothing seems to change. It's like trying to push a massive boulder up a hill. Every push is exhausting, and the boulder barely moves. But here's what most people don't realize. Once that boulder reaches the top and starts rolling down the other side, it picks up speed on its own. That's momentum. And momentum changes everything. Think about learning to drive. At first, everything required intense focus. You had to think about every tiny movement. But now? You probably drive without even thinking about it. The same thing happens with positive behaviors. At first, eating healthy, or exercising or reading feels hard. It requires willpower. But once it becomes a habit, once you build momentum, it requires almost no effort at all. It just happens. The problem is, most people quit right before momentum kicks in. They put in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month of effort. They don't see dramatic results. So they assume it's not working. And they stop. Right before everything was about to change. Right before the boulder was about to reach the top of the hill. Have you ever quit something right before it was about to pay off? I think we all have. So the question is, how do you push through that difficult early phase? How do you keep going when you don't see results? The answer is simple but not easy. You have to trust the process. You have to believe that your efforts are working even when you can't see it yet. Just like a seed growing underground before it breaks through the soil. And here's something powerful to remember. Every day you show up, even when you don't feel like it, you're not just making progress toward your goal. You're also building your identity. You're proving to yourself that you're the kind of person who follows through. You're strengthening the belief that you can trust yourself. And that inner transformation is often more valuable than the external result you're chasing. Think about it this way. If you commit to exercising for 30 days straight, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, what happens? Sure, you might lose a little weight or gain some strength. But more importantly, you become someone who exercises. That's an identity shift. And once your identity changes, your behavior follows naturally. You don't have to force yourself anymore because it's just who you are now. Now, let's talk about something that's quietly shaping your entire life without you even realizing it. Your environment. The people you surround yourself with. The content you consume. The physical space you live in. All of it is influencing who you become, whether you're aware of it or not. There's a saying you've probably heard. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Think about that for a second. Who are your 5 people? Are they ambitious, positive, growth-oriented? Or are they negative, stuck, complaining about life? Because here's the truth. If you're surrounding yourself with people who don't challenge you, who don't inspire you, who don't push you to be better, you're limiting your own potential. This doesn't mean you need to cut everyone out of your life. But it does mean you need to be intentional. Spend more time with people who elevate you. Limit time with people who drain you. And completely remove people who are toxic. It sounds harsh, but your future self will thank you. The same goes for what you consume mentally. If you start every morning scrolling through negative news or social media drama, that's what you're feeding your mind. And your mind will reflect what you feed it. But if you start your day with something uplifting, educational, inspiring, you'll notice a shift in your energy and focus. It's that simple. And what about your physical space? Is your home cluttered and chaotic? That chaos affects your mental state more than you realize. A clean, organized environment creates mental clarity. It reduces stress. It makes it easier to focus and make better decisions. If you want to think clearly, start by organizing your space. So here's the question. What's one change you could make to your environment today that would support the person you're trying to become? Alright, now let's talk about taking things to the next level. Because once you understand how small actions compound, once you've built momentum, there's one more piece. Pushing beyond your limits. This is where good becomes great. This is where average becomes extraordinary. Most people do the bare minimum. They show up, do what's required, and call it a day. But if you want exceptional results, you can't settle for average effort. You need to push just a little further. Stay a little longer. Work a little harder. Learn a little more. That extra 5% effort compounds into massive differences over time. And here's something you need to understand. Discomfort is where growth happens. If you're always comfortable, you're not growing. When you're working out and your muscles start to burn, that's not a signal to stop. That's a signal that growth is happening. The same applies to everything. If learning something new feels frustrating, that's good. It means you're stretching beyond what you already know. And let's be real about something. Failure is part of the process. In fact, failure is necessary. Every time you fail, you learn something. You get feedback. You adjust. And you get closer to success. The people who succeed aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who fail more than everyone else and keep going anyway. So ask yourself, where have you been playing it safe? Where could you push a little harder, take a bigger risk, step outside your comfort zone? Let me share something with you that changed my perspective completely. Every expert you admire, every successful person you look up to, every achievement that seems impossible to you right now, it all started with someone who was exactly where you are. They didn't have special powers. They weren't born with some magical advantage. They just started. And they didn't quit. That's it. That's the whole secret. The difference between dreamers and achievers isn't talent or intelligence or resources. It's consistency. It's the willingness to show up day after day, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when nobody's watching or cheering you on. Most people can do something once or twice. But can you do it 100 times? 1,000 times? Can you keep going when the initial excitement fades and all that's left is the work? Let me bring this all together. Success isn't a secret. It's not some hidden formula that only a few people know. It's a simple principle. Small actions, repeated consistently over time, create massive results. But here's the catch. It requires patience. It requires discipline. And it requires you to believe in a process you can't see. You won't notice changes tomorrow. Or next week. Or even next month. But 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, you'll look back and barely recognize who you used to be. And it won't be because of one big decision or one dramatic moment. It'll be because of thousands of tiny choices that compounded into something extraordinary. So here's what I want you to do. Right now, today, pick one small action. Just one. Maybe it's reading for 10 minutes before bed. Maybe it's saving 100 rupees a day. Maybe it's doing 10 push-ups every morning. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you do it. And then you do it again tomorrow. And the day after that. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you feel motivated. Don't wait until everything is aligned. That moment will never come. The only moment you have is right now. And the smallest action you take today is more powerful than the biggest intention you never act on. You're not trying to transform your entire life overnight. You're just trying to be 1% better than yesterday. That's it. 1%. And if you can do that every single day, everything else will take care of itself. So let me leave you with one final question. If you keep doing exactly what you're doing right now, where will you be in 5 years? And more importantly, is that where you want to be? The choice has always been yours. Small actions. Daily consistency. Compounded over time. That's the formula. That's your path. Start today. Start small. But most importantly, just start. Because 5 years from now, you'll wish you had started today.